Join me as we dive into the wild and woolly world of RMDs, where I'll explain everything you need to know in just 10 minutes or less. Hello, my name is Tommy Cloud. I am president of Third Act Retirement Planning, a company that I started back in 2000. I am also a certified financial planner and qualified Kingdom advisor. Let's start at the very beginning.
Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to.
All right. Bet you didn't think you'd be hearing the sound of music there and that beautiful voice of Julie Andrews as you're talking about RMDs. But let's take Julie's advice and start from the very beginning, if you don't mind. It all starts with the contributions right here. And those are typically pre-tax. So you put those into your 401k or your traditional IRA, or maybe even a 403b. And you begin to let it grow. And that goes, this next part here is going to grow tax deferred. And literally while it's growing inside of the IRA or retirement plan, there are no taxes due on gains, interest, dividends, or any other type of tax liabilities that will occur inside of those retirement plans until you withdraw it. And that's when we get into these required minimum distributions. You typically, when you do take these distributions, they are taxed as ordinary income. All right. So as tax deferral doesn't last forever, we must pay the Pied Piper. Or another great saying is there's only two things in life that are certain, and those are death and taxes. When that day comes for you to take these required minimum distributions, that money's been growing tax deferred. It was also deducted from your income previously so that you didn't have to pay taxes on it. So now it's finally time to have to pay the government your fair share. Render unto Caesar's what is Caesar. And if you look here, you can see that RMDs always started at 70 and a half. And that was up until the Secure 2.0 Act, which was December 31st of 2022. Now, if you're born between 1951 and 1959, you can wait till you're 73. And then if you were born after 1960, you can wait until you're 75 years old. Keep in mind that if you do reach the RMD age and you're still working, you may not need to take an RMD from your 401k, but you will need to take an RMD from your IRA. Okay, so let's look at how your RMD is actually going to be calculated. All they do is take your retirement account, and then they take the balance of that retirement account on December 31st of the previous year, and they divide it by a number that is provided by the IRS table. And whatever that number is the number that you pay in the current year. And I'm going to show you that table in a second. So what if you do not take your RMD? Prior to the passage of the Secure 2.0 Act in December of 2022, you would have faced a stiff 50% penalty on the amount that you should have withdrawn but failed to. However, under the new Secure 2.0 Act, which cranked off in 2023, you're only going to pay 25% penalty. And this can be further reduced to 10% if you withdraw the necessary amount and submit a amended return in a timely fashion. So in other words, if you admit your sins and go back and try to correct it, they'll only penalize you 10%. So that's definitely a big improvement over the 50% penalty. Okay, so here is the table that the IRS created in order to calculate your RMD. You can see, again, we talk about the balance on December 31st, and then we just go and divide it by whatever the age is. So if you're 97, it'd be 7.8. On the other hand, if you're 73, it'd be 26.5. But let's just take the case of a 76-year-old in the current year, and the prior year, his balance was $500,000 on December 31st. The RMD would be $21,000, almost $21,100 almost. All they did was take the $500,000 here at the end of the year, and then they went down to his age. To calculate that, we go down to his age right here, 76, and then we just take 23.7 and divide it into 500,000 and come up with $21,097. These videos are designed to help educate you on the different areas of personal finance from a biblical perspective particularly if you've just suddenly gained a large amount. I think you'll find my perspective to be unique. As a child, I was exposed to the areas of personal finance, and my dad was also in this field. Additionally, I have experience in real estate, precious metals, and of course, even when I was at Georgia Tech studying finance, I was on the investment committee where we invested in stocks and outperformed 90% of all mutual funds. I encourage you to subscribe and comment. Any comments that you make to this video, I will respond to. And finally, there are 3 key things that I want you to understand about RMDs before we finish up this short video. And that is, in 2024, if you turn 73, you can delay your first RMD until April 1st of 2025. This is a new rule. A lot of people might want to do this. You do want to be careful because that means you will be required to take 2 RMDs in 2025. Typically, after you take that first RMD, then all subsequent required minimum distributions have to be taken in the year that you turn that age. So in other words, for 73, you can take it in the next year, but when you turn 74, you have to take it in that calendar year. If you turn 74 in 2025, you must take that RMD by December 31st of 2025. Secondly, in 2024, the Roth 401k account holder will no longer be required to take RMDs. So previously, even if it was a Roth 401k, you did have to take RMDs. And for 2023, you do need to go ahead and take your RMDs if you have not already, for the Roth 401ks only is what I'm referring to. And finally, just as an update, in 2024, you can donate up to $105,000 of your required minimum distribution to qualified charities, and it may not be taxed at all. That concludes our discussion on required minimum distributions in 10 minutes or less. And if you would like to know how required minimum distributions work for your particular situation in IRAs, just click on the link below to schedule a brief call with me and we can discuss your situation. That concludes this video. And until next time, I'm Tommy Cloud on the Sudden Wealth Stewardship channel.